Hello and welcome to episode 10 of Show Me the Podcast. Yes, that's right, listeners. We have done 10 episodes and I'm joined here by my lovely, beautiful co-host, Harrie.
Hello.
And if you've followed any of our social media, you know that this episode is all about the remake. So, what we want to find out in this episode is what is the motivation for making a film that has already been done? Is it simply to put a new spin on it? Or is it just a way for Hollywood to bleed a film dry and make a quick buck? Yeah. There are so many remakes out there and reboots out there with certain films. It's basically hard to keep up with films like Halloween, Friday the 13th. I've written the 19th. But maybe they'll do the Friday the 19th. And like they even come out with Freddy versus Jason, which was truly awful.
Yeah.
And I do feel like horror films is a big one for this. Yeah, it's like every week there's a remake of a horror film. But
True.
We will not go into that now. We will, of course, talk about that later in more detail.
I would just like to mention that it is possibly one of the hottest days of the year so far. I know, I've melted.
It's boiling
today.
and it's 9 o'clock. You think it'd be a bit cooler right now.
Yeah. And it's also the lunar eclipse. So, Lorraine, you might see me go quiet and dazed as I look out the window and see a blood moon.
Well, when it's there, let me know. And I will also look dazed and confused.
Isn't that your normal
look? Today it is, anyway. God.
Cool. Okay. So before we get into the actual crux of the episode, we're going to talk about our recent watches.
So, Harrie.
Well, I was a bit shocked that I did this. I'll tell you. I watched Moana, a Disney film.
Well, you say that. I've watched it probably about 25 times because Riley likes
noticed.
it. But I have yet to actually see the whole thing. When you have to watch things in bits because you're doing stuff coming in and out and stuff like that. So, but what I've seen, I actually quite enjoy it. But I'd like to see it all the way through.
Well, a lot of people at work recommended it, and I've got no problem with Disney, but I went through a massive Disney phase when I was younger, obviously, being a child and everything. But I just thought, I'll give it a go. And oh my God, it was so much fun. It was really funny. Like, you know that kind of Disney where they're like, oh, we're getting a few adult things. And there's some really touching moments as well. And oh my God, kudos to the animation.
Did you the whole way through go, I wish I had her hair?
I
said that to Def. I was like,
yeah.
I wish I had her hair. Her
It's
hair
like
is amazing.
crazy but manageable.
Yeah, but manageable.
Yeah.
I used to work with a girl with hair like that called Mira, and her hair was just exactly like that.
Wow.
Gorgeous, naturally like that.
Oh, really? Yeah. There's some really good songs in it as well. About 3/4 of the way, and I did get a little bit bored. But then it pulled it back.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Cool.
It was all right. How about you?
Okay, my first one was Hereditary. I went and seen that with Steve and Amanda.
Okay. I'm interested to know what you think about this because okay, can we just quickly explain about episode 9?
Oh yeah.
So you will hear this after you've heard episode 9, but just to let you know, we're re-recording episode 9 tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because of technological issues.
Yeah.
We have a lot of those, but we're getting over them gradually. Anyway, in that episode that I edited and we're not going to use, Lorraine says that she wanted to see Hereditary and she was really excited about it. So tell me what you think.
So I saw the trailer and I thought this is going to be kind of, exorcism, type thing. No. Well, yes, but no. It was just...
There's a big argument about it not being The Exorcist, being The Exorcist.
Yeah, it's just really bizarre and, obviously I'm not going to say what it is in case you haven't seen it, but something that happens to the sister and...
I read about it.
Then the ending. It ended and I just looked at Steve and Amanda and I was like, what? I just don't know. It was the most weirdest film.
I don't think this is a spoiler, but I've heard that the last 12 minutes are just what the fuck bizarre.
No, they literally are. What the frickin' frack is going on?
The frickin' frack.
I'm trying not to swear.
Oh, sorry.
I have a toddler. I'm not allowed to
You're the
say.
wrong audience.
I know. But no, honestly, I no. I think we should just go on to what you've seen next, because I don't know what to say. I mean, give it a go, and I'd love to know what you thought. But
Me or the audience?
no, anyone.
I don't think I'm going to watch it.
No, I would. No, I don't think it's your cup of tea. But yeah, it's weird. It's so weird.
It's really messed people up. Some people.
My next film that I'm going to tell you about after you've told me yours will really mess people up.
Oh no. Okay.
Yeah, it was a traumatic month.
I can't remember if I've told you about this before. I'm really sorry if I have. But I watched Call Me by Your Name, which I'd been getting to watch for a while, and
I don't think you've said that. Is that a film or a TV?
it's a film.
Oh yeah, no, I don't remember you
It's got
saying that.
Armie Hammer and Timothée Chalamet in.
Oh right.
And they're lovers in like the 1980s in Italy, and
Yeah.
it's really nice film. I'm glad I watched it. It kind of it's shot in a certain kind of way that it almost looks old school,
Yeah.
and it just makes you want to go on holiday. And the dad in it, he's just a legend.
Who plays the dad?
Oh gosh, I can't remember.
Is it Ed Harris?
No.
Because is he in it, Ed Harris?
No.
Oh, because I could have swore.
He's in a different film that I talk about in
Oh
episode 9.
right. Oh okay. Okay.
No, the dad is the... Have you seen The Shape of Water yet?
Do you know what? Sorry.
The Shape of Water.
No.
Oh God, why can't he's in the Coen Brothers a lot of
Okay.
yeah. Anyway, he's just like the best dad ever. He's so understanding, and he has a really interesting conversation with the son. And just for that scene alone, I'd recommend watching it.
Okay. Is it on Netflix?
No, it's on Sky Cinema.
Sky Cinema. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Okay. Before I tell you what this film is, I cannot stress enough. Do not watch it. Not because it's crap, but because it's highly disturbing.
Oh yeah, no then.
Mother.
Oh, oh yeah, dude. I was listening to like some past podcasts of us, and you're like, "Ooh, I can't wait to see Mother." And Luke's like, "Oh no, I saw it as horrendous," and you're like, "Ooh."
Oh,
That's how it went.
Very rarely do I wish I could unsee a film and this. I mean, Jennifer Lawrence in it is brilliant.
Yeah,
She's really good in it, to be fair. But it's so like there's this like Michelle Pfeiffer and Ed Harris come into it, and it's just bizarre. But the ending of it with the baby,
yeah. I've heard about this.
just don't watch it. And you don't need. It's not like, oh, I've got a child, so it's no. If you have any sort of compassion or for a human baby, do not watch this film because it's awful.
I know it's meant
At
to be
the
sort
end.
of like allegorical about Mother.
It's hard.
Nature
Just
and
don't
stuff,
do it.
but
I don't
yeah.
care what it's supposed to be. It's horrible.
Yeah.
It's no,
Okay.
traumatized. I think Steve's going to watch it because I've said that. Because
Okay.
you know him, Curious George, but
Well, okay. So say if you've seen Mother
yeah.
and you just want to bring yourself out of that funk, you go and watch my next film,
Good, because I need to get out of the funk because every time I think of it, I feel sad.
Jumanji: Welcome to the
Oh, is
Jungle.
it good?
It's so good.
Is The Rock in that?
Yeah, I think he produced it or whatever. And okay, so you know, it's nothing like the original.
Yeah.
It follows on from a
Oh,
similar.
is it not like the original?
No,
Oh,
it's
right.
it's whereas the original had like a dark sort of element, sad element to it.
Yeah.
This is more comical. Well, yeah, it's
Oh,
comical,
okay, okay.
and there's some really good slapstick moments in it. Jack Black is hilarious.
Yeah,
He's
but he
really
is
good.
funny.
Even The Rock is really funny in it.
I do like The Rock, though.
I've never
do.
rated him before.
No, I do. I like him.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, go watch Mother. Feel shit about it. Want to feel
No,
better?
don't watch Mother. It just goes straight to Jumanji.
Yeah, well, okay, yeah, fine, do that.
But it's not because it's Jennifer Lawrence isn't good. She's brilliant. And
She's a great actress.
I'd say after that she needed a bit of time off and a stiff
Well,
drink.
she did, didn't she?
Oh yeah, you were telling me that. Yeah, I know. I don't blame her. I don't know how she did that role.
Well, she said she almost had like a nervous
Yeah,
breakdown.
I could believe it. I nearly did watching it, so I can only imagine what it was like for her.
Well, I've heard that like literally nearly every shot is like either right in her face or over her shoulder and
Yeah,
stuff. So
and there's one
like,
scene what they do to her. It's just horrible.
Right.
It's so bad. It's just no. I don't want to think about that film anymore.
Tell us about your next one then.
I seen Wonder Woman.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I really liked it.
I liked
I
Wonder
thought,
Woman.
and the action scenes when she goes on the battlefield,
Oh, I got emotional. I got freaking emotional.
that was good.
Yeah.
She's just such a badass.
It's not even that. It's just, I don't know. It's just,
No,
it was executed, all of it was
Yeah.
executed well.
Yeah, it was
Apart
like a
from
dance.
the
Yeah.
last,
Yeah,
you know, half of it.
yeah. No, but that scene, I was just like, because I was waiting for the big, because you know with these superhero films you need the big, like when the last Avengers film when Thor comes in, you know what I mean?
People might not see it.
Yeah, but I'm not going to tell them what Thor does.
Okay.
But it's epic. But that I need that Thorness. And
who doesn't?
Exactly, Chris. But yeah, so she does that, but she's brilliant. Really good casting. I thought she was great.
I was really impressed because, sorry, the other DC films, to a degree, I'm not happy with.
Yeah, you're not DC.
But the Wonder Woman I did enjoy. Again, the last third or whatever, I didn't think was very good.
Yeah.
But the first
I thought it was a bit slow. I thought it was a bit slow to start, but then once I kind of got into it, I was like, yeah, I'm really glad I've seen this.
Yeah, I didn't even mind that. It was just the reveal at the end was boring, I thought, and laughable as well. Anyway, but yeah, no, it's overall enjoyable.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm currently watching Sharp Objects, the HBO thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna give that a go. I like her.
It's
Amy
like
Adams. Yeah.
haunting me.
Is it good?
Yeah, there's this one song by The Acid that's used to perfection in the in one episode, and it just keeps playing in my head, and I'm just like, oh. And you know when you just like, oh, get out of my head, but the only way you're going to get out of my head is if I listen to you, so I have to listen to it, and then I go back into thinking about it. However, I've twigged who the murderer is, and I couldn't help myself. I googled it, and I'm right. But I'll still keep watching it. Yeah.
Cool. I'm also watching a show, Sleepy Hollow.
Oh God, yeah, you've been loving this.
Oh, I'm really liking it. Yeah, the guy who plays Ichabod Crane is really good. He's an English actor, and his relationship with Abby, the girl who's...
Well, she's not in the film, is she?
No, yeah. but basically, like, he comes back from, you know, hundreds of years ago. So they all come back into the now.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's like they've all kind of risen and stuff like this. So it's basically, you know, and obviously he's come back talking about Headless Horseman who died hundreds of years ago, and all, you know, so it's all... you know, a bit hard to believe. Obviously, if you're a policeman, you're just going to think that he's crazy. But this girl, because of a previous experience she had with her sister, which I'm not going to tell you what it is, she believes it and she helps him, and they're a good team. But it's a really good watch. I really like it.
Okay.
So I do, and I love the opening credits. It's quite, you know, or I suppose Tim Burton did do Sleepy Hollow, but it's got that still got a bit of that vibe to it, you know. So. No, it's really good.
My sister loves it. She rates it as well.
I'm only on season 2, but it kind of gets in the way because we kind of decided on this episode quite quickly, didn't we?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I've got to watch these films, and I was like, but I want to watch Sleepy Hollow, and I was like, so the first 2 nights I was watching Sleepy Hollow, and I was like, right, I better watch some of these films.
You're very good at that.
At what?
Being like strict, and I'm just like, no, I want to watch this.
Yeah, but I think you remember stuff better than me. I have to rewatch them because my memory's awful.
I've watched another TV series, Glow season 2.
Is that any good?
First season I really struggled to get through, but I powered through. And actually, the day before your hen do, I literally blasted through them all when I was prepping stuff.
Oh, really?
And season 2 is much better than the first and really fun. You'd love it.
Cool.
I think.
I watched... Well, actually, I didn't. I couldn't finish it. The Ghostbusters, the female one.
Ugh.
Yeah. Sorry, even Chris Hemsworth couldn't save that one. But it's actually fitting for this episode because it was... No.
Yeah. Why? Why bother?
Yeah. It was one of those why bother moments, so I'm just going to... Breeze past that.
Yeah. Okay. I watched The Beguiled, the Sophie Coppola one.
Oh, okay.
All I can say about that is it was uninteresting, but Colin Farrell was good.
Oh,
that's it.
Oh, bit of a Ghostbusters moment. So, of course, I may have watched a few documentaries. I've been watching a lot of crime documentaries about called I Am a Killer, Killers on Death Row.
Standard.
I've also been watching ones about children who kill and are tried as adults. So basically, like, they're 14 and they end up having to spend the rest of their lives in jail. There was 2 of them that they did. And
it's just the way you said.
Yeah. And then I just watched, which I've seen so many documentaries on Bundy, Shipman, Guine, Fred and Rose West. And so I just watched all them again. And I tried to watch Andre Chikatilo, whatever his name is, but he's just too much. I had to turn it off because he does stuff to kids, so I couldn't stomach it. I had to turn it off. But people will know who he is.
Okay, I don't.
No,
so,
I know.
Okay.
Any more?
Yeah, one last one. I watched I can't talk tonight. Three billboards
Is that any
outside.
good? Is it not? Because did that win or anything, or did it just get nominated?
Frances McDormand won Best Actress.
Oh, did she?
And Sam Rockwell won. I
like
can't remember
him.
if it was Best Actor or Best Supporting Actor.
Yeah.
They were fantastic in it.
Yeah.
You know, that's fine. But the story, I found it vastly disappointing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I've got two more.
Okay.
Both documentaries. One of them is I Am Heath Ledger, which I taped on Sky ages ago and didn't watch it. And he was a fascinating character.
Oh, he was, yeah.
I did not realize what he did behind the camera, and his interest in cameras, and his interest in filmmaking and videos and all the stuff he did. I
didn't know that.
And like how he had this house, and basically all the Australian actors would just come and stay there. Doors were left open, and it was just like a free for all. And he actually comes across as one of the most amazing people, like a beautiful person. You know, you hear people go, "Oh, he's just beautiful." Yeah, really nice. And every time you seen him with a camera, it was like a different camera. It was like an old style camera. You know, that he was someone that I didn't, when I was watching it, I didn't think of him as Heath Ledger the actor. I was like, I wouldn't have mind going for a drink with him. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? He just seemed like a really
good guy you could have a conversation.
Yeah,
with.
and the whole and one interesting thing is, you know, the way people say that the Joker is basically what finished him off.
Yeah.
That wasn't the case.
According to this documentary.
Well, the dialect coach come on, and he was working with him, and he says that he loved that role, and he would every time he finished a shot, he'd come off and he'd be laughing and joking. He says he loved it. He says it just, you know, he wasn't well, like, do you know what I mean? So it wasn't that, you know, he was so haunted by these demons. He, you know, which is someone that was working with him said. So, you know, whether it's true or not, but, you know. And the last one was I watched the Whitney Houston story. Can I Be Me?
Is that the new one, the new documentary?
Well, it was on Netflix, so I don't know.
Oh, no, it won't be then.
No. Oh, yeah, they're making one, aren't they? No, but that was so tragic. There was no... Do you know, I watched and I thought it was kind of like... It was a bit of an Amy Winehouse thing. I was like, why is no one looking out for this person?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I've been listening to a lot of... sort of adverts for the new trailer. I can't remember who directed it, but it's getting rave reviews anyway. And everybody's it just sounds so sad. And they've got like her estate sign off, and they talk to her family, and it goes really in depth. And yeah, it's really sad.
No, it was really sad. And then the daughter followed suit a few years later.
Yeah, that's sad.
Yeah, so no, it's worth a watch, but it's you know, it's quite tragic.
Oh, okay. Well,
ended on a sad one.
Yeah. And moving on to more cheerful things, we're going to the cheersiest section.
Mm-hmm.
You want to tell us about this one?
Nah, I'll let you do it.
Oh, thanks. I don't know how to pronounce this, do you?
Siam's podcast.
Siam's podcast. And by that, we mean the Sorry You're in My Seat podcast. Has messaged us on Instagram and has kindly said... Just finished your Wes Anderson pod episode. I'm so glad The Life Aquatic was featured. I love that film. For me, Moonrise Kingdom is one of the Anderson's best, second to Grand Budapest. You made my travels around Lincolnshire all the more enjoyable today. I might need to start planning a Wes Anderson weekend. Smiley face.
That's a great review.
Yeah, it made our day, didn't it?
Yeah, that was a really good one.
Thank you for that.
Yeah. And now we're going on to remakes that you may like or loathe.
Yeah, we put out feelers on social media about you the audience, your worst and favourite remakes. So we got some feedback on that, and we're going to share those with you.
And sorry if we don't mention your name, but there was quite a few, so we couldn't get them all on.
We've whittled it down to some of the best. So Ross and Phil Talk Movies have messaged in, and they said their worst remake is Point Break, a loathsome and pointless remake of a nailed-on action classic. The remake added nothing, and even in its own right failed as an action film.
Don't hold back.
Their favourite, I'm going to get Lorraine to say.
Not the best, but one of my faves, Dawn of the Dead remake. The original is one of my fave films, but the remake added so much. It was fun, gruesome, and totally won me over as a film in its own right.
So I can get in on the Point Break action. I agree with that. Can't say I've seen any of the Dawn of the Dead, so...
Oh, and they're back. Siam's podcast.
Sorry You're in My Seat podcast.
Just come back with another one. Heat is amazing. Remake from the movie LA Takedown. Michael Mann did both. The Leonardo DiCaprio and Jack Nicholson film The Departed is a great remake of the Hong Kong film Internal Affairs. In a similar league, I'd say Al Pacino's Scarface, which is a remake of the 1930s film. But I'd also add Dread and 3:10 to Yuma.
Hey, fucking man to the latter one. Love that one.
I do like Dread though. Bad remakes, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, yeah. RoboCop and the newest The Thing, yeah. Halloween remakes, of course. And he says sorry, he could go on.
He said loads. I think you got away with
Yeah.
Just because you put a nice comment, that's fine.
I know.
Your mom
Mama
said Miracle on 34th Street remake was excellent, as was the original. I haven't seen the original, but I don't like the little girl in the newest one, so sorry, she winds me up.
She winds you up. Michelle says, although Johnny Depp was fab in the remake, I still prefer the original version of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Yes, you cannot say anything bad about Gene Wilder.
Come with me and you'll be in a world of pure imagination. That makes me cry, that does.
I love that film. Go, Harry.
Okay, your lover has told us that his worst remake is probably Total Recall. It lost the whole mystery of the first one and just turned into some action film. Favourite remake? Spider-Man Homecoming. Yeah, boy.
I actually really enjoyed that. We watched it together, so yeah.
I've got beef for this. I'm going to come back to this. Anyway, and then he finishes, okay, fine, it's kind of more a reboot. My thing, exactly. And it was massively better than the Tobey Maguire shite we had the first time around. Yes.
Yeah, I actually, of all the superheroes, I was never... Spider-Man was like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Until the Tom Holland.
He's 20.
I
can
him.
say he's fit, can't I?
No.
Yeah, I can.
No, because he may be 20, but he looks about 12.
He doesn't on social media.
Tom Holland as a stalker. She's a hot blonde, so, lucky you.
I'm like 11 years his fit.
No, do you know what it is? It was when... Oh, I can't say, actually, because then I'll be given a spoiler of the new Avengers film.
Okay.
But you know what bit I'm talking about.
Oh.
And I was just like, you just so with Robert Downey Jr. And I was like, oh. Yeah, okay. Hannah, which happens to be Harry's sister, said The Haunting. The original is frightening. The remake with Catherine Zeta-Jones was dreadful. The original, scary as. You never see anything scary, but you have to use your imagination. The remake uses dreadful CGI. Oh, Judge Dredd. That's a good one.
And Steve. He says, ooh. Sorry, Steve. Ooh. So some die-hard horror fans may banish me from the club if I say this, but I really like the remake of The Omen that was made for 2006.
Oh, God, yeah, I remember that.
Pete Postlethwaite. Sorry, dude. Yeah, Pete Postlethwaite.
Yeah, him.
That dude. Great actor. Liv Schreiber and David Thewlis. What's not to love. Struggled with that one.
And our last one is from Pedro McKern. Best is Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the 1970 version with Donald Sutherland, was subversive and scary. Worst, I tend to avoid poor remakes, but Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes was a crushing disappointment. Lacked the iconic ending and didn't make any sense.
I liked that. I didn't think it was great, but I liked it. But yeah, controversial. So we're moving into the main crux of the episode, remakes in general. But before we each get into our individual choices, we're just going to have a chat about it, aren't we?
Yeah, I think as we kind of mentioned in the intro, is like, why do they keep making them? Like, why is there so many? Like, I can understand stuff being rebooted and, some things being remade because of today there's more modern technology and all that kind of stuff, but like they're doing it to death. I think it's too much.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got so many points to make, but they kind of come into our Flashback film club.
Oh right.
So
Okay.
I might have to save it for that actually.
Okay. Cool. One thing actually, when I was doing it, I was foreign films that get remade,
Yeah.
like The Ring, Wreck, and something I read is like, why do they keep remaking English films? Into the English language, basically,
Yeah.
making films into the English language. And what is the reason for this? Is it A, because we can't follow subtitles?
Yeah.
Or B, are we just too lazy
Yeah.
to take the time to watch a foreign film? Because sometimes you speak to people about foreign films
Yeah.
and they're like, oh, I wouldn't watch a foreign film.
Really?
Yeah, no, some people, it's like black and white films. It's just too much. Like, so, is that one of the reasons why they do it? Is because, people aren't going to watch the Japanese version of The Ring, or is it The Grunge or The Grudge?
The Grudge.
I always get that wrong. I always say The Grunge.
I really like the English version. I've not seen the Japanese version.
No, I'm not saying that's the thing. Like, although I watched Wreck, the Spanish version, and it was amazing.
I've heard this.
It was scary, and I didn't enjoy. I think Quarantine is what they called the new one.
Yeah,
and apparently the directors of Wreck, the Spanish director, they
or is it the other way around?
What do you mean?
Was the original Quarantine?
No,
okay,
no,
sorry.
Wreck was the original, and apparently the directors weren't happy with the remake. And I don't blame them, because I think with the one, you didn't need the remake, and I think that's why, what I mean when I'm saying, why do they keep doing this? Like, it's just over the top. Like, watch Wreck.
Yeah.
It's better.
It's like it's A for lazy audiences, and it feels like it's B for lazy writers who can't come up with original ideas.
Yeah, exactly. Is there, like, that's one thing I was thinking about. Like, is it got so bad in Hollywood that there's no original scripts?
Well, this brings me on to, because this is one of the reasons we decided to do this episode, wasn't it? That we suddenly found out that they were thinking about remaking
Big Trouble in Little Chinatown.
Yeah, with The Rock.
Yeah.
And as I've just said, I like The Rock. I enjoyed Jumanji. But please don't touch it.
No.
Like, it doesn't need to be touched, does it?
No.
Some films, in their original form...
Like Point Break. I agree with that.
Yeah.
I didn't even get through. I tried to watch it, but I was like... Because to me, some films, like Point Break, is Keanu Reeves and Patrick Swayze.
Yeah.
I don't want to see anyone else play those roles.
The reason, it sounds really bad, the reason they do that I feel that they do it is because they want to make this film, but they're worried if they don't label it under a certain name that associates it with something of big status, that it's going to fail.
Yeah.
And it ends up doing that anyway.
I know.
Do you know what I mean? Like, especially with Point Break. Basically, it was just an adrenaline junkie movie. And it was but yeah, under the umbrella of a Point Break remake, it fucking wasn't. It had nothing to do with the original concept. Okay, there's a bit of like heist, but it was just stupid.
Yeah.
And they do it all, they're beginning to overdo it now.
Yeah.
And it makes me really sad that there just doesn't seem to be that original idea going on.
No, there's not.
And it's the same with prequels. Like, they're doing prequels for everything now as well. It's like, do we need them? You know?
Yeah, it's kind of, because I always think, like, there's probably, hundreds and hundreds of people out there who are writing scripts and nobody knows who they are.
Yeah.
And they're probably amazing ideas. It's like, when you walk down the street and you hear a busker and they're singing an original song and you're like, don't cover someone else. Do this guy's song. Let this guy do a song.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it's like, with film, I'm just like, and when you get, the thing is, there's some obviously original films coming out. And there's some good films out, like, do you know what I mean? And then you're just like, why are you wasting time with this when you've got so many writers? Because they're scared they're not going to make money from it. And obviously, I understand you need to make money.
Yeah.
But it's like, and that was one of the things about, unfortunately, about Harvey Weinstein, is he was somebody that used to take a chance on these types of films. And, as much as, I'm not going to go into it, but, as much as a dick as he is, like a lot of the films he's actually taken time to actually make, they've been good films. So maybe that side of him, take a leaf out of his book and maybe take a chance on, certain films. But, people just don't want to do it. And they're coming up with all these, Jesus, Freddy versus Jason. I mean, I love Krueger. I love Krueger. I love Krueger. But when I saw that and I seen this fight scene between them, it kind of reminds, these films that are coming out, like a big crocodile fights a big shark.
Oh,
You know, these type of things. Like, and it was like
Rampage or whatever it was.
Yeah, well, there's so many of them, but it's just ridiculous. It is. It was just ridiculous because I thought you've got an amazing character. Jason and Freddy are amazing horror characters, and you're doing this to them.
Yeah, and I wonder what their success is actually. Like,
I think because it brings in a new. See, the problem is you get a lot of. I don't mean to like stereotype, but you get a lot of young people, and I've spoken to young people who are like, I'm not watching that. That's too old. But if it says 2010 on it, like I know people that won't watch a film older than 2000. They just won't do it.
That's bad.
And you know, you're missing out, folks. So they revamp these in a kind of teeny, you know, horror type way, and then people watch them.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not so on board with this remake culture. Apart from Spider-Man: Homecoming, because that was good and it needed it. If it needs it.
Some of it does. Some of it, you know, some of them are good. Like as we're going to talk about, you know, ones that are, but I just think it's a bit. They're doing it to death.
Yeah.
You know, and it's lazy. I think it's lazy.
It's lazy, and also I think there's a darker side to it in that I think they're cashing in on a vulnerable way of thought with some people. And it's
like, what's he going to be like in 20 years? You won't be able to say boo to a goose without someone having a nervous breakdown, you know? And, you know, to be quite honest with you, you know, unless there's other things to be worried about. Yeah. You know, I don't know. Maybe I'll get shut down. I'm not that sensitive about stuff, so, you know, but I would never, you know, if something, I would always be respectful of people, but some people seriously need to man the fuck up. You know?
Well, talking about you know, the situation. Wait, I'll start again. Talking about sensitive people and the boo to a goose thing, I'm gonna lead into my
go for it.
My bad remake, which is, and it kind of made me laugh that somebody else has mentioned it.
Hannah, your sister.
My sister, obviously can tell, you know, our origins. The Haunting. That's it. That's all I've got to say.
The remake one.
The remake one from 1999, directed by Jan de Bont.
Who else was in that?
So you've got Liam Neeson.
Okay, yeah.
And he's the...
Because I was trying to think, because there's The Haunting and House on Haunted Hill.
Well, apparently they stem from the same story.
Okay, yeah. Because I was thinking
Shelley
of House on the Haunted Hill.
Yeah, I swear I started watching that film accidentally, and that's what that screaming was on Instagram the other day. That, and I was just like, oh, I'm watching the wrong film.
Because is The Haunting the one where they all go and stay in this haunted house?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want me to tell you the?
Yeah, sorry, because I get them mixed up. Sorry, go on, go for it.
Okay, so as you may be well aware as a listener, I'm not mad into my horror genre, but I do love me a psychological ghost story, and The Haunting is one. Mm-hmm. It might be the original for like modern cinema. And old cinema. I don't know. Anyway, so it's a black and white psychological horror, and it's adapted from the novel The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. The original 1963 version, directed by Robert Wise, features Julie Harris, Claire Bloom, and Richard Johnson and Russ Tamblyn. And the film depicts the experience of a small group of people invited by a paranormal investigator to investigate a purportedly haunted house in New England. This storyline is again explored in the remake, but the characters are slightly changed and their names are slightly changed. But essentially, it follows the main character of oh gosh, I've forgotten her name now, which is really bad. Eleanor, which is and she's also called Nell, played by originally Julie Harris, and in the remake by Lily Taylor. Is it Lily Taylor?
Oh, Lily Taylor.
Yeah. And wow, how to go into it? So
why did you like? Do you hate it, or do you just think it was a bit shit, or like what is it that?
A bit shit.
A bit shit.
Yeah.
So to you, is this a pointless remake?
It's pointless because of various reasons. But like when I watched it, okay, well, the first time I saw the original was the first. This is when like cinema. I was really young. I mean, my dad shouldn't have really showed it me.
How old were you when you saw it?
I must have been like 10ish or something. Yeah, it fucked me
Bad
up.
parenting, Nick.
Dude, I saw Stigmata when I was like 11 or something. That fucked me
Bad
up.
parenting, Nick and Cheryl.
Yeah.
Cheryl.
Yeah, I can't take it like that. It but also it's the first time I fell in love with cinema, and and I should tell you why. It's because less is more in this film. It's black and white. All the angles, the shots, they're all really thought about, and they add emphasis. You know, you've got your foreground and background, which often in focus or not in focus. You know, it's crazy, intense lighting, simple tricks are used for effect, and you never see the ghosts.
No.
And spoiler, there's ghosts, and it's just really effective. Whereas with the remake, it's just CGI,
It's in your face,
batshit crazy.
Yeah,
and it's not scary whatsoever. No. And it's just, it's bad filmmaking. I'm sorry, Yanderbon, but it's bad filmmaking. It's lazy. It's just a cheap trick for, like,
scare.
Yeah, and it's disappointing.
But I agree with you with horror films, or psychological horror. Less is definitely more.
Yeah,
that's why I like films like Silence of the Lambs and The Shining, because it's not all about a gore fest.
No,
it's like you're trying to get into their heads. You feel them trying to get into your heads. Like, do you know what I mean? So, and that's why I prefer films like that. Because when people go on to me about, Lorraine loves horror, she loves psychological horror.
Yeah.
She doesn't love gore fest horror.
Yeah.
So I agree with you completely. So if it's all about, ooh, get the scare. Yeah.
But that's it, because it's a story about paranormal activity, studying the psychology of these people. And yet, in the remake, it's not psychological at all. Okay, you're witnessing Lily have a connection to the ghost and have a breakdown, but you aren't experiencing it from her point of view whatsoever. Whereas in the original, you are. It's really intense upon her face.
You need to feel like you're in there.
Yeah. You are encouraged to use your imagination to imagine those ghosts on the other side of the wall. Whereas, again, with the new one, you fucking see them as CGI hands and little babies and stuff coming out Cupid things coming out of this wall, and then you see the ghost's face or the skull and the mirror or portrait, and you're just like, no, well, you're not letting me do anything. You're just giving it all to me, and it's like
you don't need to think.
Yeah, it's like gluttonous viewing, and it just doesn't do anything for you. I like a workout,
I like a brain workout.
Yeah. And also, I just got to give a few, shout outs to this film. It's considered one of the best horror movies in cinematic history. It's one of the most unsettling, and it's got a cult following. And a lot of people complain that they couldn't really follow the story. I could. But there are still things that you come out of it wondering, well, why did she have this connection with these people? Why was she mad? Were there ghosts? Was she encouraging the others to feel this way? And apparently, the main actress, these are just some fun facts, the main actress, Julie Harris, kept herself quite distant from everybody, but then she felt that they were distancing themselves from her, and it was really awkward on the set.
Okay.
And she said that they all said that they felt like paranormal shit going on during filming, which I just think adds
You
to
get
it.
that a lot, though, with films like, with that kind of theme to them.
Yeah.
Is people say, oh, on set I felt this or I felt that. So
I think something else that's nice about it, and I don't think it's a sickness of remakes or anything, or studio stuff, but this film, the original, was largely filmed in what was deemed a haunted house.
Oh, okay.
And then I read up on the new one, and you can tell, like, it's shot in a studio in, like, Culver City, whatever, and whereas this was filmed on location, and I think those elements do add to it,
Yeah, you got to feel like it's real. Like, I feel sometimes when you're watching films like that, you almost have to forget that you're watching a film, and you have to feel like you're almost in, like you've got a VR set on, and you're actually there. Like, do you know what I mean? And I think that's the true skill of filmmaking for these type of films, is that you're not sat there closing your eyes, blocking your ears because it's so scary, and well, not scary, but it's so disgustingly gory. Whereas I feel like you need to sit there and, forget about everything that's going on in your life and just be so involved with what you're watching.
And I think that's why I was so engrossed and eventually fell in love with A Quiet Place. You haven't seen it yet, but when you do, you'll get what I mean, because it kind of runs along these kind of these lines. It engrosses you. You're in the story. You're forced to think about it and what you do, and I think that's where like good filmmaking is in its prime. You know.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, that's
The
that was
Haunting.
my bad remake.
God.
What about yours?
Well, it's not okay. I kind of took a bit of a different approach from bad and good, and it was basically I'm going back to I don't understand why they made it. I thought it was a good film, but at the same time I didn't think it needed to be made, and that was the 2005 Amityville Horror.
Oh, I've
Directed
actually
by-
seen that.
Yeah, Andrew Douglas, and it stars Ryan Reynolds and Melissa George as George and Kathy Lutz. The original was made in 1979 and starred, directed by Stuart Rosenberg, and starred Margot Kidder, who you may know as Lois Lane
Oh yeah.
from Superman, and James Brolin, who you may know as Josh Brolin's dad, who's married to Barbara Streisand.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
I see James
yeah.
Brolin.
Yeah,
Josh
yeah.
Brolin. I did not know that.
That's where Josh gets his looks from. His dad is a handsome man. And this film was apparently, the 79 version, was one of the highest grossing horror films that lasted for 8 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So, so like I said, this isn't that it was crap. It was just more like... What it is for me, remakes, it's like some of them are like an absolute copy. And I feel like this one was basically a copy. I don't feel like there was anything different. I don't feel like they even tried.
I
Do you know
really.
what I mean? And when I was like going to like, you know, because I typed in Amityville for the film to come up when I was searching for it. About 8 other ones came up. You know what I mean? So they've done this quite a lot with this film. I didn't know, you know, I haven't seen them. I've only seen this one and the original. But I was like,
Yeah, I only thought there was.
yeah, I was like, how many of these have they made? Like,
And
do you know what I
why?
mean? Yeah, like, you know, it just said Amityville this, Amityville that, Amityville this. I did watch a documentary on it, but you know, which is fine. I don't mind them making a documentary, but
Because it's based on a true story.
well,
Sorry.
okay. So basically, it's about this family, the DeFeo family, and their entire family, younger siblings and parents, and were murdered by the eldest son, who was called. His name is Ronald, named after the dad, but he was actually, you know, everyone knew him as Butch. So basically, he literally went through every room and shot them with a rifle. Now, when you watch the documentary, he's still alive and in prison, and he's kind of blaming it on his sister as well, who he ended up killing because they had a bit of a tussle with the rifle. So he's kind of putting a lot of it on her. So the house went up for sale, and the Lutz family, which is the characters that Ryan Reynolds and Melissa George play in this remake, they buy the house, and it's really cheap. I mean, it's a fantastic house, and it's really cheap. And why is it cheap? You know what I mean? And they are told that people were murdered.
Sorry.
That they were murdered in there, but they're not told about, you know, because like Butch was like, I heard voices that telling me kill, and all that kind of stuff. Sneeze.
Sorry.
So they purchased the house, and they only stayed there for 28 days, because basically the dad, George Lutz, goes mental. He would wake up every night at 3:15 a.m., which is apparently the time that you're gonna sneeze again.
Sorry.
It's okay. Harry sneezes a lot. That he would wake up at that time every day, you know what I mean, every morning, and because that's when they were killed. So basically the whole story is around that. Now, some people don't believe the Lutz's story. They think that they were trying to cash in on the tragedy that happened there.
Right.
And when Margot Kidder and James Brolin apparently were in the house, and they said they didn't feel anything, you know, no spooky stuff. And with I will say with the remake, Ryan Reynolds
Looks really hot.
Well, Ryan Reynolds always looks really hot. But he is exceptional.
He does play it well, doesn't he?
because like we're so used to seeing him in like, you know, things like Deadpool, and then the love interest, the goofy kind of, you know, everybody loves Ryan Reynolds. I think men love. You can be gay or straight, you're gonna love Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
But he does this really well, and he was saying that because he's really a piece of work when it comes to the children. I think they're little kids, like, and apparently on set he had to avoid them to the point where the kids were going around saying Ryan doesn't like us. But he was too afraid because he couldn't
get emotionally attached.
Yeah, because I mean he was nasty.
Yeah.
He was nasty to these children. You know, which is apparently what happened to George. Apparently, you know, he went insane, and you know, he was being told to kill them, to kill his family, and you know, basically they were that the house smelt and slime was coming, and you know, apparently a priest went in and you know, smothered in flies, and you know, all this kind of stuff. So there's all these things that apparently went on, and it's one of those things, either you believe it or you don't.
Yeah.
Some people do, some people don't. But Chloe Grace Moretz, I think this is her first role.
Oh, really?
She's the little girl in it.
Oh.
And she's a great actress. But in this she was really good, because like, you know, she's basically the little sister that was shot, Jodie, I think her name was. She becomes friends with her.
Okay.
And there's this one scene where a babysitter comes in, and she's locked in the cupboard in Chloe's, I can't remember her name in it, room. And she turns around because she's like going, ooh, yeah, this is spooky. And, you know, and they're like, we, you know, go in there type thing. And she says, if I go in here, I'll get you a kiss poster, you know, this type of thing. So she goes in and turns around, and there's Jodie looking at her with a bullet through her head. And she has a like complete meltdown. Now that's a good scene. It's a spooky scene. And you like see the eyes through the slits, and, you know, she's coming out all shaken and stuff like that. So it's not that it's a bad film. It's just an example of, it's too like the original.
Yeah.
So I didn't think there was a need to make it lazy filmmaking.
Yeah.
You know, so while, you know, Ryan Reynolds, like I said, was great in it, and Melissa George, I just think it was pointless. Obviously, with modern technology, they kind of, you know, spruce it up a bit, but yeah, I just didn't think
there wasn't anything in it innovative.
No, there wasn't. I mean, the directors did a good job. You know, you are kind of left, what's going to happen type thing. You know what's going to happen, but you're kind of left, what are they going to do? Because I think when you see remakes, you do expect something different. Even though it's a remake, you're kind of sitting there going, what are they going to do to make it better than the original?
Yeah. And when they don't do that, it's vastly disappointing.
Yeah, and like one thing I will say is, you know, both the original and the new one, the chemistry between the couples was exceptional. You know, so they were very believable. But yeah, it was just, for me, it wasn't that it was a bad film. It was just, I would have never cared if they hadn't have done a remake. You know the way sometimes you hear, oh, they're going to do a new such and such or reboot. You're like, ooh, what's that going to be like?
Yeah.
I wouldn't have cared if they never did it.
Okay.
And I was also shocked to see that there's quite a few of them.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't watch the other ones because, you know, it's like those made for TV, I think, esque type ones.
I've never
I'd never even heard that there were more. But so, you know, watch it if, you know, and I feel like, did you say, you know, about how, you know, for bringing in a younger audience, if you know, teenagers and 20-year-olds see Ryan Reynolds, they're going to go and watch it. They see Margot Kidder and James Brolin and 1970, I can't remember what it was, 9, they're not going to watch it. So I think that, in a sense, is like making the money because you've got a picture of Ryan Reynolds there.
Yeah.
So people are going to watch it because Ryan Reynolds is in it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So, you know, I can see how that's a perfect example, I think, of, you know, really bleeding a film dry and, you know, really, you know, making more money.
Well, I think that's what they did with The Haunting. Like, you've got the beautiful Catherine Zeta-Jones, who is, you know, the darling of the day. Yeah. And Liam Neeson, who just come off, I think, like making films like Nell and all that, which we got acclaim for. And then... So
they cash in on it.
Yeah.
They cash in on it.
And it's a shame, because they're great actors. Yeah. Like, I do think, like, they're great actors, but it just... Yeah.
No, like I said, Ryan Reynolds in this was like, I mean, I've never seen him like that before, and he was exceptional.
He does beard very well.
He did look really good. But
No, but he does do serious really well.
yeah,
as well.
he does.
I hope in the future we see more of like. I mean, I know he does do them, but they don't like get picked up that well, do they? But yeah.
But yeah, I think this is a perfect example of A, it was exactly the same, pointless, and B, they're cashing in on the hot Ryan Reynolds, and he's going to bring in, you know, certain people that are going to watch it again that would never go and watch the first one, you know, which I think is a shame because the Amityville Horror original was a great film. And I feel like sometimes films like this kind of take away from that. It's like when a song comes out, for instance, when Destiny's Child released Bootylicious, and then I remember hearing a young girl hear the Stevie Nicks version, Edge of 17, and she was like, "Oh, they've taken Destiny's Child song," and I'm like,
know that.
Yeah, Edge of 17 is you know, that because if you look at Bootylicious video, Stevie Nicks is actually in it. There's a flasher in it, but you that's what I mean. It's like someone would watch the Amityville Horror and they wouldn't even think of Berlin and Kidder. They wouldn't matter. Yeah, and that's what I think is sad. I think you should show your kids the original. Well, not your kids. Don't let them watch Amityville Horror. But your teenagers when they're 18.
Yeah.
So yeah,
cool.
But yeah, say Harry, what's your good one?
Well, I'm going to blow my nose first, and then I'll tell you. Okay, so my good remake, just going to say it, is 12 Monkeys by Terry Gilliam, 1995, based on the film Le Jetty by Chris Marker from 1962.
Can I just say something?
Yeah.
First of all, I did not know that was what the remake of it was. And secondly, that's really bad because didn't we do that in uni?
We did, but I want to preface this with, before I even went to uni, I liked Le Jetty and 12 Monkeys.
Okay, but I didn't know, and I should have known that because we did it in uni.
Yeah, no, I really racked my brains about the remake, and I wanted to do Spider-Man Homecoming, but again, everybody kept saying, well, that's a reboot. And I was just like, where does the distinction come?
I was wondering that. What is... Because it's quite similar, but, you know, why do they call it... Yeah.
Yeah, but again, like... So I'm not sure if I can have this one, because I think they're quite incomparable in certain respects, but they're both great, and they follow similar storylines. But 12 Monkeys is much more of an homage / adaptation, which I personally think is what makes this remake, quote air quotes, better. And that's what we were just coming from. You were saying Amityville Horror was just basically almost like, a carbon copy, and whereas this isn't. This is its own version. Different things happen, but it's the same sort of story premise. And so that's why I picked it, because it's almost like it's original in its own right.
So did you like the original?
Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was great. Yeah. It was funny, actually, because I was prepping for this today at work, and where I work has some students around, and I was sat in the coffee shop, and I was just like, oh, I need to watch some scenes. So there I was, my headphones in and my phone, watching Le Jetty. Like, I was like, yeah, I'm watching a French film from the 60s. I'm such a student right now. But yeah, so the original is really interesting, and I like it for the way it was put together. Basically, Chris Marker, I don't know if that's the way you say it, Marker, he made this film of still shots, black and white, and it's got a voiceover throughout the whole thing. French one's better, in my opinion, and then you've got like some powerful operatic music in it as well, and you're just fucking like drawn into this film. You're just like, what the hell is this? And even though it's not the moving image, you can just sense like movement behind it, and like the power and meaning behind each still, and it's really good. Yeah. So it tells the story of a man in France, in Paris, in the aftermath of World War III, and he's a prisoner, and he lives in this underground Paris, and he's pulled into an experiment because they like his prisoners, his prison guards, whatever, they monitor excuse me. They monitor dreams, and in his dreams he keeps coming back to this image of this woman, and she's watching a man being killed, and they're like, ooh, that's interesting. So they pull him into this experiment to try and save the human race, and he's picked to sort of travel back in time. It's It's a heavy
I've
story.
seen this, but I remember it, but I don't remember, if you know what I mean. I couldn't talk about it.
It's only like half an hour long, and it's on YouTube. I shouldn't say that, but you can watch it on YouTube. Like
12 Monkeys isn't half an hour long.
no, Ligeti.
Oh, okay. It's like
yeah. So that's what the original was, and it's great. And despite its simplicity, it's very engrossing, and you get stuck into it pretty quickly. It's poetic yet grounded, and it's like it's just deep in its context. It's great. I like that. I like that like contrast between simple and deep. But then the 12 Monkeys by Terry Gilliam. It's just, even though it's a similar concept. So you've got this character James Cole, played by Bruce Willis, and he lives in a future world, but this time it's subterranean Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think it's like 2035 or something like that. And he's a prisoner as well. And he's again, he pictures like this flashback of this little, this woman's face, and she's seeing something, and there's, stuff that happens. And the scientists are like, right, we're going to use you to go back in time to prevent the pandemic that happened that killed that spread out a virus and like killed most of the human race. So it's the same kind of concept, but it's just completely Gilliamized. If that's a word.
Isn't this a film that kind of Brad Pitt took a different kind of like road?
He's phenomenal in it.
No, he is good, but that wasn't the kind of Brad Pitt we were used to.
Well, I think he was still fairly...
What year was Fight
fresh.
Club? Was that 99?
No, 98, I think.
Yeah.
But honestly, it's like the precursor to Tyler Durden when he's like...
Because like I can see him now. I can picture him now in this film. But I don't know if I'm making it up or I remember, but I feel like this film was when everyone was like, oh, Brad Pitt does that. Because he wasn't just like the hot guy. Because let's face it, back in the 90s, Brad Pitt was bloody hell.
Beautiful.
He still is gorgeous, but back then...
You would.
He was greedy in his looks. He should have shared out some of those looks. But yeah, I think it was a time where people didn't just go, oh, he's the hot guy. They were like, oh, Brad Pitt.
Yeah. I think he'd just come off the back of like Thelma and Louise.
Thelma and Louise,
things.
yeah.
And
where he was just the hot bit of toddy.
Yeah, and I might be wrong. I might be making stories up, but I think Gilliam was just like, no, he can act. I think he just because it's 1995, and I think Seven had already come out. Yeah, that's it. I got it. I remember it.
Okay.
Gilliam cast him, but I think during filming, his other films came out, and then he became like he's an A-lister, and that's also what propelled the movie because you had like hot, good Brad Pitt in it. But yeah, he was nominated for an Oscar for it.
For 12 Monkeys?
Yeah, he is very good in it. He is.
I remember him in it.
He's really good in it. And so is Bruce Willis. I mean, Bruce Willis plays this... He's like this gentle giant, but he's not... He could break at any moment. And he just does that vulnerability yet hardness like really well. And I think
I've been a fan of Bruce Willis since Moonlighting days.
I've never seen that.
Oh.
So... I've seen Die Hard.
I would hope so.
No, I think Bruce Willis is a good actor.
No, he is.
He's like great in like Death Becomes Her. For years, I didn't even realise that was Bruce Willis. And then,
what?
I know. I saw it as a child.
I need a new co-host.
What? And I guess if you're a listener, you know that I've got a bit of an obsession. It comes out that I like films that talk about memory and time and like psychological kind of stuff. Yes. Yeah, but I guess something I realised today. I was just like, oh shit, yeah, this is one of those. Like the Nolan films.
There's a theme.
There's a theme, and something that I like about this film as well. It kind of Gilliam plays homage to. I mean, the original sort of not the original, but one of the original guys that explored that, and that's Hitchcock. Yeah. In the film, they go to like a Vertigo screening, and they, they talk about like sort of memory and time in that as well. And I just like the way it all sort of comes together, and I like that exploration. And I don't know whether Gilliam meant to do it or not, but this is something I get from the film.
Yeah.
In the original Ligeti, again, it's still images, they're black and white, and I don't know if you're like this about old footage or pictures, but I stare at them for ages, just trying to pick up the pieces and try and get a story out of it.
Yeah.
And obviously you're trying to do that with Ligeti, but there's an image in 12 Monkeys because Bruce Willis is Cole. He accidentally gets sent to World War One. He's in the trenches and he gets shot, And then I can't remember her name, the actress, the character in it, the doctor, she finds a picture of him, this black and white photo of him in the trenches in World War One, and I just like that touch because it's kind of.
I remember that bit actually.
Yeah,
that's one bit I do remember.
It's like bringing in that kind of Ligeti still aspect of the film where you're like exploring the image, and I just thought that was a really clever little touch.
But that's one thing I think about a remake as such. It's when they put those things in, so you almost it's like with some remakes, it's like they're almost acting as though it's not a remake.
Yeah.
Look what I've come up with.
Yeah.
Whereas when you see something like that, you can say to yourself, oh, there's a little, tip of the hat.
Yeah.
To the original.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's good. You want you don't mind someone kind of like when, they, do a song and they use, mixes from originals and all that kind of stuff. But you want them to kind of acknowledge that this isn't my film. I didn't come up with this concept.
Yeah.
I'm taking it from here. So here's my little things like that, the picture and stuff. You can, you have a bit more respect for them.
Yeah, definitely.
Because they're not trying to plagiarize and pass it off as their own stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that's that kind of thing I'd appreciate.
And it just makes it that bit better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas I felt like, even though I said I liked the Amityville, I feel like there was no tip of the hat.
Yeah.
To the original. I feel like it was just like, oh, look what I've done. Even though we all know it's a remake, but not everyone does. And I think that's, with 12 Monkeys, people, probably people don't. But like for the ones who do, like that, they can go, oh, that's his little nod.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think he's made it. Gilliam's definitely made it his own, and he's got his own touches in it. It's got it's got that kind of same vibe as Brazil and his other films have. But at the same time, I think he does do these, whether he meant to or not, or I'm just picking something out that wasn't actually meant to come across that way. But it feels like he is doing those little nods to not just Chris Marker, but like I said, to Hitchcock and the greats and yeah, I think it's good. Again, I feel like it shouldn't be considered a remake, but it is. So people do see it as a remake, so it's my choice.
Yeah, it's actually a good choice, that is. And I liked the thing about the picture.
Thanks.
Yeah, I think that was good. Did you think that I've seen here that you were talking about The Fifth Element?
Yeah.
I love that film. So good.
Well, especially in the bits with the scientists in 12 Monkeys and in Ligeti, they've got like a bit of a steampunk vibe, and I was watching it and I was just like, this has like sort of Fifth Element touches, and then I realised like Fifth Element came afterwards, and I was just wondering whether Besson took his influence from Gilliam in that sense.
That's such a good film.
So that's something I'd like to explore one day. Oh. Fifth Element's great. I love it.
Oh.
Maybe we could talk about that one
Chris
day. Smart that I wrote.
Chris is it Chris Tucker that's in that one?
Oh my god, I could do that entire rap, but I won't.
Chris Tucker in that film is absolutely off the chart. He is so good.
You okay, Mama? You green? Super green.
I think I might watch that again. It's so good.
Yeah, it is. It's great. Yeah. Right then, let's move on to your favourite remake.
Okay. So it's not that I think it's better than the original, but I think it's a really good... it's a remake of two films rather than one. And I shall explain. Okay. So I've picked Superman, Man of Steel. The 2013...
Is it called Superman, Man of Steel?
Yeah.
Or is it just Man of Steel?
Oh, Man of Steel. Okay. But I always say Superman. So it's a Zack Snyder one. The original, for people who don't know, was a Richard Donner film back in 1978. And
Donner. Why do I know that name? Richard Donner. What else did he direct?
I think he did Goonies.
That's the Badger. Yeah. No way.
That's the Badger, yeah.
Sorry.
But yeah, so basically this one starred Christopher Reeve, who is the best Superman ever. And in the remake, they don't have Lex Luthor in this film. But I'm very glad, because one thing about Superman films, nobody can play Lex Luthor apart from Gene Hackman. It just can't happen. And also Margaret Kidder, who was in Amityville Horror, she's Lois Lane.
Yeah.
So for me, like, Superman has always been my favourite character of all time. And it was like one of these
You and your brother have a thing.
Yeah,
for
we're
Superman,
big into
I think.
Superman. Yeah, it was one of these things where when I watched it for the first time back in the 80s, I couldn't believe what I was actually seeing. Like, I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. But it's Superman goes back, in the DC world, back into it was created by apparently it's created by two students back in Cleveland, Ohio, in 1933.
Really?
Yeah, that's how old it is.
Gosh.
Yeah, so
But Wonder Woman's like no,
yeah,
she's 50s
like,
actually.
yeah. So yeah, no, because a lot of them, before we know it, we'll be doing the 100
Yeah.
year. But no, to me, that film was just something different because I just hadn't really seen anything like that. And there, certain scenes in Superman where the helicopter and he gets I get chills when I think of it. But that is a film I could watch over and over again. But yeah, my brother is obsessed with Superman.
I saw it when I went to his house. Lots of Superman stuff around.
Yeah, no, he's always been a big fan.
But what is it about Man of Steel then that gets you going?
So Man of Steel stars Henry.
So that's what
Beautiful
gets you going.
Cavill. Yeah, there. End of. No more talking. As Superman. Amy Adams does a really good Lois Lane. I did like her. Your face says
No, I love Amy Adams. I think she's a phenomenal actress. And I did like Man of Steel. I really liked it. And I thought Henry Cavill was just great. But I didn't feel her as Lois Lane, I have to say.
No, but I think she had that kind of she had the balls that Lois had. Do you know what I mean? That Margaret Kidder had. Like, it was, she's kind of this woman in this man's world, and especially the in the 70s, it was like that, you know what I mean? But in this one, while I know it's a bit different these days, not different enough, but a bit different, she, this is mainly men. This film is basically everyone she talks to is man, and she holds her own.
Yeah.
She doesn't shy away from them, and she's believable. I believe, because what I remember of the original Lois Lane, like in the original, I believe her.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Michael Shannon does actually do a really good General Zod. Terrence Stamp will always be better, but
I don't think Michael Shannon does bad.
I think he does a good job. He's a great actor actually, and Russell Crowe as Jor-El, Superman is amazing.
Yeah,
he's so good. Like, do you know what I mean? I think he's brilliant, and of course Lawrence Fishburne as Perry White.
I think even Kevin Costner is like...
Yeah, no, because I was like watching it. I was like, no, I like Kevin Costner.
I do.
He doesn't have to be all bells and whistles and shouting. He's a bit of a Springsteen to me. You'd think of Bruce Springsteen as this amazing, like, massive rock star, but like, I remember when they were doing, like, the Live Aid things, and everyone's got their entourage and their limousines, and apparently he just rolls up in his truck. You know what I mean? And that's Kevin Costner's that type of guy to me. He's the guy that just
comes across that way.
Oh, I gotta go to work today. You know what I mean? And he doesn't have to be all loud to get it across. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, he does a really good job. And Diane Lane as the mother. Yeah. So yeah, it is cast really well. Really, really well. But for me, this film is obviously a remake of 1 and 2, because the whole Zod, because obviously we don't have Lex Luthor, which is huge in 1, but the whole Zod thing, when, like, obviously the Phantom Zone, you know, where they go off to prison, and then the whole fight scene of Superman 2. So this is a kind of a combo for me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why I think it's a remake of both.
I know a lot of people had issue with the, Destroy City kind of fighting.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
that's one thing I was watching. I was like going, it kind of, whenever I see anything like that, I always think of the beginning of Team America, where they're coming in to save the day in Paris, I think it is, and they end up just destroying the whole city, and they're like, yeah, we saved the day, and like everyone's like, you just fucked up our city.
Yeah.
And when they're going through the city, it's just like, that's billions of dollars worth of damage you're doing there. So yeah, I was actually thinking that when I watched it. But so basically, for those of you who don't know what the film is about, confusion from me if you don't. But basically, Superman ends up coming to Earth because Krypton is going to be destroyed. So they send him to Earth. And that's where Kevin Costner, who plays his father, and Diane Lane plays his mother, they take him in as their own. They know his powers, but nobody else does. And he has to basically spend, as Elsa says in Frozen, don't feel it, conceal it. Sorry, toddler life. So he basically goes through his whole life with all these powers and can do these amazing things, but he can't because, in one point he saves these children, from the boat, from the bus that goes into the river.
Yeah.
And his dad, do you realize what could happen? He's like, what am I supposed to do? Let them all die? So he's kind of torn between who he is and who he can be. And then, he grows up and he's kind of just got these jobs, everyday jobs. And then all of a sudden, Zod comes to Earth.
I think what I liked about this film is, because I do like Zack Snyder's earlier stuff. Like, I couldn't get 5 minutes into Batman vs Superman, to say. But, sorry. But, no, I like 300. I liked Watchmen. I do like his style, style. And I liked this film because it was kind of, part of this new reboot of the superhero genre. It had that gritty sort of dark, cinematic vibe to it.
DC's definitely a lot darker.
I
think it is.
It went through this period, but now I think it's going a bit.
Going to come out of it.
Going to come out of it. But yeah, no, I liked it. It was a good balance of light and dark. So I enjoyed it, and I thought Henry Cavill was, and I know he's a lovely man to look at.
We all know he's beautiful.
But he plays it really well. He's a good actor.
He is a good actor, and he actually does it really well. And that's one thing I liked about why I say it's a good remake, because like the Amityville, this isn't a carbon copy.
No, it's not.
Do you know what I mean? It's not. They kind of I feel like, as a new, a new audience coming in, I feel like they can get the story, if you know what I mean, from here in a legitimate way. Do you know what I mean? So that's why I liked it, because I didn't feel they were copying. I feel like he did make it his own. One thing I didn't really like is the relationship between Lois and Superman. I feel like it felt really rushed.
That's what I mean. That's what I was I was getting at earlier. It doesn't feel like a romance.
No, it doesn't. It's
feels like they're mates.
Yeah, because he gets into that ship, and then she's in there. He brings her back to life, and then I think now they're kissing, and it's too. He trusts her too soon. Do you know what I mean? He's got this, and she's a reporter. Do you know what I mean? They want the story. That's their job. So yeah, it didn't feel very organic. It felt like they were just trying to throw them together too quickly. I felt like that they shouldn't have ever kissed in this film. Yeah, I felt like it should have been suggested, but I don't feel like they ever should have. I think lucky Amy, but I wouldn't have said no. But yeah, I think it was too rushed.
Can I just say as a side note, have you seen The Man from U.N.C.L.E., the remake?
I haven't seen that yet.
I think that's really good, and he's in that, and he plays it ever so well.
Does he? Yeah. No, I think I must check that out.
Yeah.
There's one other thing. The fight scene between, in the original it's Ursa and Non, that's what they call him, but in this it's Faoraul and Turan. That's their names. Really weird.
The actress name?
No, that's their name. I was I'm a bit confused by that. Why did they change them?
Sorry.
Some Superman nerd can maybe tell me. But when the guy, because the not Zod, but the other two.
Yeah.
So when the guy is fighting him, because the two of them are fighting, and it's pretty brutal, it's really vicious. But it's very Hulk-esque to me. So when the guy does it, there's one scene where he almost is doing the Hulk move, of smashing one side, puny human type little thing. So I thought that was a bit over the top for me. Do you know what I mean? I wasn't particularly fond of that scene, because I've obviously in Superman 2 you have that scene and it's not as brutal, and I don't think it needs to be, but in this I think it was just a bit too much. But I was glad that they didn't put Luthor in this film. And I know, what's his name, Jesse Eisenberg, is it, that plays Luthor, and he actually does quite a good young Luthor, but I don't know, I can't see anyone else playing it. But yeah, overall, I really enjoyed this film. But I thought Russell Crowe was exceptional. And to say that he's not actually in it that long, he was so good.
Yeah,
I
no, I
loved him in it.
thought that. Yeah.
Yeah, he did. And to say he had to follow on from Brando. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he was really good. But like I said, I don't think this is a remake as such. I think it's just basically 1 and 2 combo. You know, because as I said, 1 is more Superman and Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
But yeah. So yeah, no, I think I definitely go and watch it, and I think it's a good way of introducing people to Superman that don't really know him, a new generation of of people. But I would, if you are young and you're listening to this and you have seen this film, definitely check out the original, because it is such a good film. And for the time it came out, they did a lot with it.
Cool.
So yeah, definitely go for that one. I love me some Henry.
Who doesn't?
Tale as old as time.
We haven't told them what we're doing yet.
They should know from that.
No, that segment we're doing.
Oh God. Okay, sorry. Okay, so now we are moving on to the Flashback Film Club.
And if you didn't get it already,
Tale as old.
true as it can be.
We are doing Beauty and the Beast.
But we're doing a special kind of Flashback Film Club this month, whatever it is.
It's a remake Flashback Film Club.
Yeah.
Oh, that didn't sound good, Harry.
So we're discussing the original Disney Beauty and the Beast from what year?
91. 91?
I think. And the Bill Condon version from 2017. So, Lorraine.
Okay, so the new one is...
Sucks.
Did you just say sucks?
I did.
Harry doesn't. I like it, okay? I thought... so Emma Watson plays the role of Belle. And obviously this isn't animation.
It's live action.
It's live action, yeah. And I thought she was perfect casting in that. I thought she was brilliant. Stop shaking your head. Luke Evans is...
He was perfect casting.
Gaston, oh my God. He's so funny.
Him and Josh Gad, yeah.
Olaf from Frozen.
I like Emma Watson. I really do. And I think, especially towards the later stages of Harry Potter and since, her acting has...
Oh, God, yeah.
Like,
yeah, from the first one as she...
Yeah.
There was definitely... Well, she was new.
Yeah, exactly. But she's a great actress, but and she's very attractive, but Belle is... Like, that's what it means. She's beautiful, and Emma Watson is stunning, but she's not Belle. She's just not Belle.
But
for me.
I think she is. I think Emma Watson, like, when you think of... What is it they call it? An English rose. Do you know what I mean? Like this.
But she's meant to be a French beauty.
No, but do you know what I mean? That type of... Like, when you say an English rose, if someone said to you, oh, she's an English rose, you'd be like, she's beautiful. And when I look at Emma Watson, I think she's so beautiful, and she's so... pure looking. Like, she's someone that, like, I mean, obviously I don't know her, like, but she's just, you could never imagine her doing anything wrong. She just looks so innocent and so perfect. I'm having a bit of a girl crush over here, but I think she was brilliant.
I think she is innocent looking, but I think she is mature at the same time. But to me, especially, I suppose it's from the Disney aspect, Belle is this like absolutely stunning, womanly shaped, she's got shape to her. She's feisty, she's grown up, she doesn't need a man, yet Emma Watson doesn't come across like that to me in this film at all. She actually seems like she's like a little girl almost, and that's not Belle to me. And I just don't see the Luke Evans, like, he's great as Gaston, but his Gaston and her Belle I don't see working, and I just don't believe that he would be like, was she the one for me, So that fell flat for me. I really wanted to watch it thinking, yeah. But as soon as I thought that she was cast, I have issues with her and Dan Stevens in this. He's not the Beast for me either.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Oh.
Harry's okay. I knew you weren't happy, but I didn't think you were that unhappy. No, I'm the complete opposite. I thought she was great. Like, everything you said, I think the opposite of her. I think she did a great job. I was convinced. I didn't feel like she was a little girl. I didn't feel like... I felt like she was like a brave character in this. I felt like she was feisty. I felt like she was fighting.
She is much more tougher and beautiful in Harry Potter stuff than she is in this.
Okay.
So, in my opinion, sorry, I'm shouting at you.
No, I don't know. I don't know. I just remember I went to see it at the cinema, and I just remember coming away thinking that she was just brilliant at it, and like, you know, it just, you know, and that's the thing, isn't it? Though when you watch something, you've seen her as a complete opposite to how I saw her. You know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe she would say to you, actually, yeah, Harry, you're right. That was my intention to go like that. You know what I mean? But I did think. I think Luke Evans, though. Oh my god.
Oh, he was the shining
brilliant.
star of this film.
Oh no, I agree with that. And obviously Josh Gad, I thought
he was great as well. Very well cast.
Yeah, very well cast. But no, I actually enjoyed this. I thought it was a really good cast, and I actually liked her as Belle. I thought it was brilliant casting. Okay, here's a question: who would you have cast?
As in an actress now?
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't thought about it, to be honest. Emma Watson is just she just doesn't fit the bill for me in terms of.
So did you feel like she was too childlike in her appearance?
Yeah, she just came across as like too young, and
she's pushing 30 now.
She really?
Well, she's close to it. I'd say she's 28. But this is too, so she was probably about 26, 27 when she made this.
Yeah. It is a physique. She's almost, it just seems too like childlike.
Okay.
And yeah, it just didn't work for me. I just couldn't see that. It's almost, I almost have the same issue with Dakota Fanning in The Alienist, because she's meant to play this sort of strong-willed, mature woman, and yet I still kind of get this. I mean, she does pull it off in the end, but I don't think Emma Watson quite does it in the same way. But she, like in Dakota Fanning, say, versus Luke Evans, that they're like these child actresses, but they still haven't quite got to that mature stage for me, and I still think she's like comes across as really young in this film.
Do you think sometimes that's because like sometimes it's like when you have a friend and you meet them and they've got like a 5-year-old, then all of a sudden you meet the 5-year-old and they're like 20 and you think of them as a 5. So is it because like we watched Hermione Granger grow up?
No, because I've just said in the Harry Potter film she is like 18 in it, and I see her like I see her as a woman in that film, in those later films. But in this,
it's not convincing for you.
No.
Oh, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
And what about Dan? What did he ever do to you, Harry?
I like Dan Stevens. I love him in Legion and stuff. What I don't think it's necessarily his fault, but I think they reveal him as they shouldn't have shown him as the prince. I know he had makeup and stuff on at the beginning, but we shouldn't have seen that. He should have been a mystery to us. Yeah, and yet he isn't, and he almost the Beast. And I suppose they have to cater to their audiences. Yeah, but in the cartoon, and I know it's a cartoon, but the Beast is actually quite terrifying. He is a beast. He's huge.
No,
he's
I know
like
what you mean.
Domineering. He's, intimidating. He's scary. In this, he's just a bit fluffy, and he just doesn't come across as like this powerful, scary person. He's just a grumpy little like overindulged prince.
I will say one thing. I did actually enjoy this and I liked it. But I feel like. And I haven't watched the cartoon for years, so maybe this happens in the cartoon as well. It was kind of on and off, but I didn't really properly sit and watch it. I feel like he kind of gives in to her very quickly. In this version. And I feel like she's very forgiving very quickly.
Yeah, that there isn't that bite between them.
Yeah.
Whereas in the it's a cartoon, it's a Disney film, but it is dark. They have got this really argumentative sort of like relationship, this love-hate relationship, and I don't get that from this latest version. Like there's this scene, and I'm really bad. I should remember most of it, but he's just like, well, you shouldn't have run away, and she's like, well, you shouldn't have come after me, and he's like, blah blah whatever.
Is this when she's fixing his wounds on his arm? Yeah,
but in the cartoon, the animated version, it's like really like whoa, and they're really like growling at each other, and this is just like, well, you shouldn't have, and it's like it's really soft. And I know again it's probably catering to younger audiences of today, but it just didn't work for me.
that's fair enough. Like, you know, I like I said, I did like it, but I liked. I think I liked. Like, I think what made it for me was having people like Luke Evans in it and Josh Gad. They're and Kevin Kline. They're what made it
work for you.
Yeah, it wasn't just her.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I looked forward to the scenes with Gaston.
No, I did as well.
Do you know what I mean? And Lefroux. So I
but it's sad that the main characters.
Yeah, no. I think I'm kind of I'm getting what you mean now.
Sorry.
Like, no. Don't be sorry. Like, I'm just like I'll be honest with you. With Dan Stevens, I wasn't
sold.
You know, no, I wasn't sold. I think it's because maybe that's actually right, because at the beginning I wanted to smash his face in. You know, when that woman, when the old lady comes in, he annoyed me. Like, I didn't want to look at him. But I think I still stand by her. Like Emma Watson, I do think she was amazing in it.
Taking aside like the actors, I think the storytelling is slightly annoying and upsetting, because in the cartoon, and I know it's an adaptation again, and that's fine, but in the cartoon, the way they tell like the prologue bit is so, I think it's that less is more. It's told through a stained glass window kind of vibe. You never really see the characters for who they are. It's obscured, and I think that's what makes the mystery of why they're in this situation even like more intriguing. Yeah, it's put on a platter for you. Oh yeah, you know, there were, you know. And
I think that goes back to what you said about like the haunting.
Yeah.
Do you know, with the original, there's the psychological element to it, whereas in the new one, it's kind of like, here, be scared, boo.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? Whereas with this, maybe it's like, the thing is, I know I get hunted down and murdered for this. While I like Beauty and the Beast, like, for a lot of people, I remember when we were in uni and you would all of you would rave on about Beauty and the Beast, and you'd go on about stuff like that, and I was like,
oh, it's alright, you didn't tell them the story of it.
What story?
That's fine, you've forgotten about it.
I'll tell you to tell me after. But it's, for me, I was like all about Pinocchio, and so I never got the whole I was never into Beauty and the Beast the way a lot of you were.
Yeah.
And I think maybe that could be a factor, is the fact that, you know, when I watch certain films that I love and they make a remake, I'm like, what is this? Like, and I know you really love the original Beauty and the Beast, and maybe that does influence your mind, because this is so...
Oh, yeah. No, I'm not going to lie. I'm totally biased towards it.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Like, do you know what I mean?
And it's just really sad, but I could quote the entire film, like, word for word. And that's what happened at uni. I got drunk and did that.
Oh, right. Is that what it was?
Watching it. It's not a good claim to fame, but I can, and it's because I was raised, and it was the film that came out when I was younger. Yeah. That and Aladdin were the two, you know, and I think it's, I don't know, it's ingrained in me. So to open myself up to this remake, I was just like, they've got to get it right, and they just didn't get it right for me. Like, they got Gaston and that right, but it's something that kind of took me out of it as well. Like I said, the opening was just like, well, you're getting this wrong straight away, but it was also sorted out. But I know it's like a musical kind of vibe, but it's very stagey. It's very like they've designed it so that they can eventually take it to the West End or something, you know?
Yeah.
And I didn't like that aspect of it, because it just felt too open plan. It wasn't cozy and gothic and like the film was. It just didn't have that bite to it, and that's something I thought it was lacking. But then again, I guess I know that's to cater to a younger audience of today.
Yeah.
But it sucks.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
Maybe one day they'll do a remake of Pinocchio and I'll be like...
Well, they are going to, aren't they?
Are they?
I think so.
Oh.
Yeah. Now, how do you feel?
Betrayed. No, Pinocchio is my favourite Disney film.
And also, I'm probably going into some strange territory right now, but growing up, I was attracted to the Beast. And I know a lot of people who are. They were like, the Beast is like...
Well, do you know, as you say that, Riley's been watching the film Sing a lot, and Reese Witherspoon plays a pig. And there's one thing, she's singing...
Are you mocking me now?
No, she sings Taylor Swift Shake It Off. And so she's coming out and she's like all mumsy and got her little apron on. And then it goes into this like drum and bass bit and out she walks all sexy pig. And Dev turns around, my partner turns to me and goes, do you know, she looks pretty hot there. And I'm like...
I'm sure he's going to love you sharing that.
And I'm just like, why do people... I've never looked at a cartoon... Actually, Thunderbirds I did once. But I've never looked at a character and thought, oh, like, you know the Jessica Rabbit thing?
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, when people say that, I'm kind of like...
Oh, come on.
It's a pig. It's a beast.
That bit where he, like, fends the wolves off and he, like...
Okay, let's get down to nitty-gritty. Nobody should be into bestiality, all right? As I'm watching this, I'm like going, okay, I understand, you know, it's what in the inside that counts and all that kind of bullshit. No, it's a fucking beast. You shouldn't be going there.
He's a unique beast. He
no, I know, but like
beast.
when it comes, you know, I always think, you know, I'm watching and like I understand what they're doing.
It's because he's manly.
He's a bloody animal.
Yeah, but in the film, in the remake, he's just like some fluffy thing with bad teeth. But in the cartoon, he's like
still
man.
Yeah,
you know?
I know he's a talking animal, but like it's kind of like the whole time I'm thinking, I'm like going,
he ain't no animal. He's a beast.
I don't care how nice you are, and I can look past a lot, but I could not look past that.
Okay. And I know there is.
You know it's illegal to do stuff with animals.
I know there are people out there who are disappointed when he turns into the prince in the film. But I will say, even the prince in the cartoon is still hench and hotter than Dan Stevens when he's a human.
You're making it worse for yourself.
Just saying, it's a bit like.
Yeah.
One thing I will give the new remake. I like the touch that each time the petal falls, they all slightly fall apart a bit. Oh. You don't get that in the Disney one. That's sad. And I like a nice little touch.
I liked Ian McKellen. When his wife comes running up, he's like, "Turn me back into a clock."
Yeah,
but
I didn't think Ewan McGregor was that bad as
no, I thought no, I liked all and Emma Thompson and stuff.
I didn't like her.
Oh, I did. But yeah, no, I enjoyed it, and I did like Emma Thompson. But I feel like because of, I mean, I may be wrong. I feel like the main reason you aren't a fan is more because of your love of the first one, whereas I don't have that.
No, I think it's equal measures a love of the first one, but also I don't feel
it's just shit.
No, it's not, because it does have good bits.
Yeah.
But I don't feel the main characters work for me. Their portrayals. So because they say the same things as the Disney ones, the animation do, but it's with a lot less oomph. That's all they're missing. They're missing some oomph. They need some oomph.
Do you feel authentic?
Yeah.
Cool.
Need a bit of grrr.
Harry needs the beast.
Oh yeah.
Okay. All right then. So that's our Flashback Film Club section. And actually, I'd like to know if people feel the same way.
Yeah. Send us in your thoughts. Please agree with me.
Not about liking animals in that way, but you know.
You're taking it too far.
Okay. So what are you looking forward to?
I am looking forward to seeing Sorry to Bother You.
What's that one again?
It just looks bizarre. It's about this call center guy in Oakland, in California, and it just looks batshit crazy.
Who's in it?
Tessa Thompson, Armie Hammer. I can't remember the main actor's name. But it just looks real fun and quirky.
Cool.
And apparently it's a social commentary.
Yeah.
How about you?
I only seen this the other day. It popped up on Millie Bobby Brown's Instagram stories.
Oh, yeah.
Godzilla King of Monsters. I did not know that she was doing that.
Didn't you?
No, I didn't. All right.
No, sorry. Yeah, it looks alright.
Yeah, I'll give it a go. I like her. I do like her. She's I watch her on her Instagram. I know she's really young, and I'm like, watching. But I find her fascinating.
Yeah,
She's
I know
just
what you
such
mean.
a character, and she actually seems quite sweet.
Yeah.
But she's just she's someone that I'm looking forward to seeing how her career goes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She's
she
a good
gets
actress
older.
as well.
Oh, she's a brilliant actress.
Yeah.
But apparently when she was we may have said this in our Stranger Things episode in episode 3, but apparently when she was in her acting classes, they basically said, get in a car, go to LA, bring that girl.
Really?
Because of how great she was, yeah.
Wow.
But she is good.
Yes,
She's a great actress. But which is funny because when you see her as 11 and then you see her on her Instagram stories, it's like she's so goofy and funny, and she's such a teenager,
Yeah.
So yeah. But no, I'm looking forward to that. I think it looks good.
Cool. I've seen a trailer for a film called Colette.
I've seen. Is that the?
Keira Knightley.
Oh no, then I'm thinking of something else. No, I'm thinking of something else.
Colette was a big character in France in I think the 20s, and she wrote some books for her husband under the and they published them as Willie, and she lived quite a life, and the film looks really interesting. So yeah, I want to see that.
Did you see the trailer for Aquaman?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch that.
I watch it like Jason Momoa. I mean, come on.
Oh God.
But
follow him on Instagram.
I know I do.
You'll thank me.
I love climbing. Jason loves climbing. He goes climbing with
You're
Chris
actually
Sharma.
made for each other.
But we could be pals. I could totally be his pal.
I could be his pal.
Yeah. Do you climb? Let's get you climbing.
No, but he drinks, so I'll go drinking with him. I'll be his drinking buddy.
Do you know, I'm going axe throwing with my brother. Literally because I saw Jason Momoa do it, and I was like, I've got to do a video like that. Have you seen it? The video I'm on about?
Oh, I did. Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. No, Aquaman looks alright. It doesn't look great, but it just looks entertaining, doesn't it? Yeah.
I'll go watch it.
I don't think that's out for another year though, dude.
Yeah. I think it's Christmas or January or something, isn't it?
Maybe.
Yeah. Anything else?
Yeah, I saw the trailer for Glass, the new M. Night Shyamalan film, which is the third in the Unbreakable
I've actually seen that,
split thing.
Seen that trailer,
Yeah, so that's, curious about that, because I love Unbreakable. I think it was great. I got halfway through Split and then I got distracted, but I need to finish watching that.
I'm gonna season 2 of Sick Note is coming out. If in one of our other episodes I mentioned I've seen that, and also season 9 of The Walking Dead.
He's cut his hair
in October. Yeah, but I think it's because he's finished. He's done. He's gone.
Yeah, but in the show he's got no hair.
Yeah, but he can cut his hair now. But he's he's going in season 9.
It's not going to be The Walking Dead without him, though, is it?
I know, because I think they're doing another season after that. I think it's going up to 10. And I think that's all they're doing. But I don't know how they're gonna do it. It's gonna be really.
But how can it be resolved? Because it's airborne, isn't it? Spoiler. So it's like, will it just will it fix itself, or is that it? Kaput. I'm dead.
I really don't know. I'm just, for me, it's like I'm now like, what's gonna happen with Negan? Because
is he still in it?
Yeah, they got him. He's a prisoner.
Oh.
But yeah, so and oh God, such a great character, Negan. He plays him so well.
I saw the first episode of season 7.
Yeah.
When he with the bat.
Dude, watch season 8. It's so good. Season
really?
8. Oh my God, season 8 is so good.
I stopped watching after 5.
No, because I think when you have something that goes on for that long, you're gonna have your bits. There's no way you can keep it because sometimes I watch episodes when they do the kind of backstory. I'm like, I don't care. Show me something out. Do you know what I mean? No, it was because you kind of lose Rick for a bit in a couple of seasons, and then he just comes back. And I remember turning around and saying to Jeff, I was like, Rick Grimes is back.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And no, I don't know how it's gonna do without him. I mean, it's got great characters, obviously. Do you know what I mean? And characters that can hold their own. Because sometimes there'd be episodes, and you wouldn't see Andrew Lincoln for Love No Money. But I don't know. I just don't. I'll still watch it. I will watch season 10 when he's not in it. But I don't know how they do it without him, because he's back. And I want him to stay until the end. I would have liked him to stay to the end. But, It's his decision, and I respect that. Sorry, I could go on about The Walking Dead. It's
fine.
So yeah, so that's all our talks on remakes, what we've seen, what people have said, what we want to watch next. And if you want to see some of the stuff that we like to do on the side, you can find Harrie at
Tales Peck.
Everywhere.
Instagram and WordPress and Twitter.
Yeah. And I'm Mums Who Wing It, because I do a blog that I've got back into.
Yeah.
And
well, yeah, same.
Yeah, I've been writing a few. And yeah, so I'm there.
Yeah, if you want some funny but down to earth info on parenting, this is
not advice, just info.
So thank you for listening to Show Me the Podcast, episode 10, and check back in for episode 11,
which is going to be
Australia and films. You met me at a very strange time in my life.